It's time to chill out and get ready for a mediocre Q&A live stream. If you're old enough, grab yourself your favorite adult beverage, and if you're not, stick with apple juice. Put your feet up and relax. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And now let's cue up the intro music. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Hopefully, we can all make this new year a better one, I guess. It just seems like, I'm sure it's the same for most of you guys too. I see Tersh in here. It just seems like I was at AHR, and that was the start of the previous year. And it's already, I don't know, this whole year is such a, I don't even know what to call it. Yeah, I'm speechless about what the 2020 was. It was just yeah, exactly. So myself, my family, we are doing well. We had a great holiday season. It was slow at work. I would have loved for it to be a little bit busier, but it's definitely we're blessed, and we are very grateful to have the silly problems that we have, because there are so many people that are less fortunate, and so many people dealing with health issues and different things like that. And for me to be, worried about being busier or not busy enough, again, I'm thankful for my petty problems. I realize that, I should be thankful. And, it's just, I'm hoping that we can start off this new year different, and, I think everybody, we should try to appreciate the simple things. I could tell you one thing that I can look back on 2020 and say that I'm absolutely grateful for the time that I spent with my family. From April until the end of the year, I must have sat at the dinner table with my wife and kids every single night. It just seemed like we spent so much more time together. And for me, it's selfish. I'm going to say something selfish. I stole an entire year of my 13-year-old daughter, right? Because she was going into high school. And high school, obviously, here in California, we've been doing online learning, so she didn't go to high school. So I got to keep my innocent 13-year-old, a child for another year. And, I just think about how much more time I have with her before she moves out. And it's so awesome. I'm so grateful for those things. I'm grateful for the time that I spent with my family. I'm just very thankful, you know. So I kind of wanted to start this off real quick, and, you know, reflect a little bit and talk about my outlook for the new 2021 as we're coming into it, as far as HVACR videos is concerned. Okay. Towards the end of 2020, I got to be honest, I was really getting drugged down with the videos. It was really becoming something that I started to dread. When I say dread, I mean, hold on. Apologies, I had my window open and there's a helicopter. I live on the edge of a dicey neighborhood, so helicopters come around and we know that we got to lock the doors. But anyways, so towards the end of the year, it was starting to really just drain on me. You know, it was starting to get to that, oh man, I got to do another video. Oh man, I got to do another video. So, and while I'm thankful for, you know, the attention and the views and the praise and, you know, the good comments and everything that I get, it definitely was just kind of dragging on me. So I want to go into this new year with a different outlook on it. I definitely still plan on doing everything. I'm not doing anything different. I got to try to remember that something just went by me with sirens too. So that's always good. Flashing lights. Lovely. I just want to try to enjoy this more, right? The whole year just seemed like it was such a breeze and it just went by and it's like, where did the year go? And it just, I want to slow things down a little bit. As far as plans, and I'm not looking at the comments right now, I'll look at them in a minute, but as far as plans go for 2021, I still want to try to keep posting like I've been posting, obviously work permitting. Okay, work's been slowing down a little bit, but I still have some archived footage. A lot of the videos that I've been posting have been archived footage. You know, I had like the reaching cooler video that I just posted was from May. It was just something that I never edited down. So luckily I'm thankful for that because I have those videos to post. Things that I would like to look forward to. A lot of people have been asking me, and I really, really would like to look forward into the international shipping for the merch. It's just been something I really haven't focused on, and I definitely want to look into that a little bit more and try to find some options for international shipping. If you guys aren't aware, I do have merch available on hvacrvideos.com. I have shirts, hats, beanies. This is one of the hats right here. I've got beanies that say HVACR. I've got hoodies, you know, all that good stuff. Okay, you guys can find that. But currently right now I only ship to Canada and the United States. So I'd like to get onto that. You guys, I don't push the merch very much. I think the last two videos I actually put something in the very beginning. I felt awkward even doing that because I don't like to push it down people's throats. But so, you know, if it gets out of hand, if it feels like I'm pushing it, someone tell me, because I definitely don't want to seem like I'm pushing it down people's throats. So you guys say something, okay? As far as, you know, other things that I'd like to do on my roadmap of stuff to do for the channel, I would love to have, to finally, you know, get started on some sort of a podcast or something like that. But don't think that I'm going to go to town with it. I've always said that I was going to do a podcast, but it just hasn't been something I've been able to focus on. And frankly, it's hard enough to come up with topics for the live stream, let alone to come up with topics for a podcast is a whole nother thing. But I would like to investigate that a little bit more. Yeah, you know, just keep making videos like I make them. Okay. I try to make these videos. Remember, the whole point of me doing these videos was just to share the little bit of knowledge that I have. The whole point of these two was I started them for my own employees and then decided to make them public, and it turned into this machine. I don't really focus. I see the numbers, but I don't really talk about views and subscribers per se on, you know, the stream or anything like that. I really don't talk about those numbers, but I do have to say thank you to everybody. It's very humbling to see the amount of people that are subscribed, the amount of people that watch. My favorite thing is just reading the comments, and I still genuinely try to read every single comment, guys. Sometimes some of them slip through the cracks. I'll tell you the ones that really slip through the cracks is when they come through as a new comment, I always heart and thumbs up them, and then I try to respond to some of them, but there's just so many. But it's when there's a conversation going on within the comment section. Like if someone answers another person's, those ones slip through the cracks because for some reason I don't get notifications for those ones. So I'll find like a chain of 20 comments where people are talking back and forth, and it's like, wow, I didn't see any of these. So I try to find those as much as possible, but I really do appreciate all you guys for the support that you give. Okay. All right. So I see a lot of stuff going on in the chat. Do me a favor, guys, please smash the thumbs up button. Okay. If you're watching on mobile, just hit the back button, hit the thumbs up. If you're watching on a computer, you know how to do it. If you're watching on your TV, you can actually do it too, depending on what you're watching on. So you got to scroll down and figure it out, but it really does help the stream. Okay. So of course I've got a couple things I want to talk about. And then want to get to your guys' questions. So please put your questions in caps lock. Okay, it definitely helps myself and the moderators to kind of see the questions. If I don't answer your question, feel free to send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com. Okay, and also just keep repeating your question until one of the moderators or myself tells you to stop. Okay, don't take offense. I've been seeing a lot of people post, like someone sent me an email saying, hey, you know what? I emailed this many times or whatever. Things get lost in the comments, guys. It's already crazy. Let's see if I can see this right now. Yeah, it doesn't say how many chats have gone through, but there's hundreds of chat messages in this live chat, and I just can't keep up with them. So if I miss it, don't take offense to it. Just either keep reposting it or send me an email, and I'll get to it. So, all right. Let me see what else we got going on in here. Let me see. That's a good point. I definitely see that one, Cyborg Sheep. If I do a merch intro, don't have the title screen for the merch. That's a good point. You know, that's fair. And it's that kind of feedback, you know, because sometimes I don't think about that stuff. And that's a great, great point. So, yeah, something I'll look into. Okay. All right. So I had 2 videos this last week. Okay. The first one was titled Frustrating Walk-in Freezer Call. And that was actually a recent video. I actually just finished it. So last Friday, 2 Fridays ago. Yeah, 2 Fridays ago, I missed the HVAC overtime show because I had an overtime service call, and it was on a walk-in freezer that wasn't working, okay? When I went out there, what I found was that the unit had a bad compressor. Long story short, spoiler alert, unit had a bad compressor, and I thought I was going to have to change the compressor that night, but I was actually able to talk the customer into getting a freezer truck. How did I do that? Most of my customers want things done immediately, okay? Okay, right now we're going through this whole COVID thing. Restaurants are really slow. In California, they're only open to-go service. People can't even eat out in front of the restaurants. It's crazy. So they barely had any product in there. So I basically just went to Clint Glass. Kyle, thank you so very much for that super chat, bud. I really, really appreciate it, okay? I will definitely look into the podcast thing. It's just something, but maybe, okay? There's already a ton of really good podcasts out there. So, but I'll definitely look into it. So I was able to talk the customer into getting a freezer truck just simply because they didn't have very much product inside the box. That freezer truck sat there for 3 days. If you watch my video, the funny thing was they actually didn't get a freezer truck, or they didn't have it turned cold enough because, you know, when I talked to the people that brought the truck, they were like, yeah, it only gets to 33 degrees. And I said, well, that does no good because it's supposed to be at 0 or -10. Whatever, not my problem, okay? Talk the customer into a full system replacement. It was better off for them because I'm not afraid to say it. The compressor replacement alone, and I quoted them on overtime and all the crap I was going to have to do it, was going to cost them like $6,000, okay? And the walk-in freezer equipment replacement was definitely more than that, but that $6,000 repair was a sizable amount of the replacement cost, okay? So it was better for them to go ahead financially and bite the bullet, replace all the equipment. Now they have a new condensing unit, a new line set. They're going to have a whole new electrical service to the condensing unit very soon, and they got a new evaporator coil. So essentially everything's new, and hopefully they get a long life out of it, okay? I also converted the system over to the more eco-friendly, blah, 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 refrigerant R448A. So I was very lucky on that one. Sometimes they don't really turn out that way. Most of the time they want you to change the compressor that night. Luckily, I called them and I was just like, look, guys, this is going to be crazy because if I change that compressor, they were still going to have to change the equipment. Like I told them, I said, if I change this compressor, this is going to get you a month and I still need to quote to replace all this equipment. So it just felt like they were going to be wasting their money. Okay. Again, I'm willing to do whatever the customers want. I totally am willing to, I told them, I said, I will do whatever you guys want me to do. If you want me to change the compressor, I'll change it, you know? But we just talked him, you know, they thought it was a good idea too, and we had him wait. HVAC Heatmaster, appreciate that super chat, man. Thank you guys so very much for that, okay? Really, really appreciate it. So talk the customer into the replacement. And the cool thing, because they had the freezer truck, I was able to do the job over 2 different days. So it was really neat was I went out there with another tech. We kind of demoed the equipment, pulled the old stuff out. We left the refrigeration rack up there, obviously, but we ran the line setter, did part of it, ran some of the electrical. So then we went back in and finished it. I've been doing that a lot more lately, and I really do like doing jobs like that on walk-in replacements. If I can go and do some of the work, like for instance, I've made a video about it, but I haven't posted it yet because it's not finished. But I did another one where I had to replace some walk-in freezer equipment. And I went out there and it was in a position where it was on the ground level, the condensing unit. So I was able to place the condensing unit and, do the electrical and everything. So now sometime this week, I'm going to go back and change the evaporator. The existing stuff's still working. So it's kind of nice to be able to do those jobs like that when you can. It doesn't always work out that way. So, let's see. Yeah, I apologize. There's probably emails that I don't get to too. Okay. But, LM Sylvia, I see your emails come through all the time and I try to get to them as much as possible. So, all right, let's see what else we got in here. Oh, something that I want to address too is that, the holiday video that I did, the Christmas wish list thing. Everybody should be receiving their tools this week because between TrueTech Tools and Field Piece Instruments, they were my partners in that program or that project, and they were handling all the shipping as part of their end of the bargain. So I saw all the emails come through from TrueTech, and I've even seen some people say they've already gotten their tools. So cool. I'm very happy to see people get those. It still makes me feel good. And I got to say that towards the end of the year, like I was saying in the beginning of this stream, I was having a hard time with just work and the stream was just beating me down and stuff, or the videos. That project really, brought me back up, basically. Being able to do something for someone else was so fulfilling. Even if it wasn't, the most amazing thing in the world, just being able to buy some people some really cool tools. Ironically, I don't know the person's name, but the guy that won the combustion analyzer still has not gotten a hold of me. I mean, that was, I think, one of the most expensive tools that I gave away was a blue flame combustion analyzer. And dude I sent him private messages. Still hasn't gotten back with me. So I'm going to give him a little bit more time, but that's crazy, man. If you're watching this, if you haven't seen my Christmas wish list video or whatever I titled it, definitely go watch it to make sure I didn't call your name, because everybody's gotten back to me except for the one guy that asked for the combustion analyzer. So whole nother thing. So, all right. Let me see what else we got going on in here. Do I know anything about PAO oil and its refrigerant compatible? Apparently it's compatible with most refrigerants. No, I don't. I'm trying to think. PAO oil. I can't think of what that one. I can't think of that one right now. That sounds weird to me for right now. I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, I don't know off the top of my head what refrigerants that's compatible with. So I don't really have any comments about what happened in Nashville. I don't know enough Dragon Vlogs. Plus, I don't really like to get too political. But I know that's not a political thing, but that's not really for this stream. But I don't have very many comments on that right now. Let me see what else we got going on in here. Got your manometer. Oh, great, Jessica. See, Jessica got her manometer. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Oh, you don't need to make a video. Hey, guys, I didn't do those. I don't need credit. I don't need anything. Just what I sent you is from me to you. It's just a thank you gift from you guys, or from me to you guys. You do not have to give me credit. You do not have to tag me. You do not have to do anything. I don't need any credit from any of that stuff that I sent you guys. That's simply a gift from me to you. If you want to give me, I mean, that's fine, but I'm just saying you don't have to do anything. You don't need to make a video. I mean, unless you want to, that's your thing. Let me see what else we got going on in here. I know a lot of people would definitely take that combustion analyzer. Let me see what else we got in here. Twisted Candle Company, thank you so very much for that super chat, bud. You did not have to do that. And that question is actually already on my list, and I'm definitely going to cover it right now. So, the question is, what is the most professional and effective way to ask your employer for a raise? Okay. So, this is open to several people. Anybody can answer this, but here's my way. Okay. Here's how I would appreciate someone coming to me. And first and foremost, let me tell you, as a business owner, sometimes things get hectic, things get crazy, and I have lost employees, very good employees. Two of my best employees I've ever had, I lost because we got busy, we forgot about things, and we didn't pay attention to their needs, and too much time went by, and they should have gotten raises long before they left. And they simply, it wasn't just a dollar raise that they left for. I mean, it was just over time. We were just just completely in the business and not really paying attention to what the employees' needs were. Okay. So with that being said, don't let that happen to you guys. Okay. I made that mistake with my employees. Don't let that happen to you as employees, but you also don't need to be rude about it. You don't need to be jerks about it. But I think that we need to get past this whole taboo thing about money, right? We're so afraid, and it's such an uncomfortable thing as an employer, as an employee, talking about money. It really shouldn't be that way, because bottom line is, if the company has the money, we as companies should pay our employees as much as they're worth. I mean, we should, okay? And it's really easy for us to mess up and not pay attention to what's going on. So as an employer, how would I want an employee to come to me and ask for a raise? I think the best way for an employee to go to an employer is to have a good conversation with them. Okay. Don't be a jerk about it, but go to your employer and say, hey, look, you know what? I really feel like I would like to be making more money. Okay. You don't need to word this exactly, but I would like to be making more money, but I also realize that with making more money comes more responsibility. Okay. So with that being said, what can I as an employee do to earn more money? I definitely want you to start thinking about that, and this is a conversation you can have with your boss. Okay. Ask them what you can do to make more money. It's as simple as that. Okay. But remember, it's not just the employer's problem so much as it is the employee's problem too, to ask for a raise. Okay. Yes, it was bad of me as an employer to not pay attention to my guys' needs. They weren't asking me for raises, but I could just tell, you know what? At the end, it was like, wow, when they left and I reflected on everything that happened, it's like, man, I should have paid them more. A couple months back, we should have been giving them raises, and maybe that would have made things better. And we also could have worked on company culture and made it a better work environment. Okay. It's really easy for us as employers to, especially me, to, let things go and compound and build up until I explode. Like someone does something that pisses me off and I don't bring it up to them, and then they do it again, and then they do it again, and then the fifth time I finally explode. Dude, this has happened 5 times, da 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 da. So as an employee, also, we need to not be so uncomfortable about asking and talking about money. We need to bring that stuff up more often. Don't let it get to the point that you feel like you're owed money, okay? Because in my opinion, the best way to ask for a raise is to say, what can I do to earn more money, okay? But obviously, if you feel like you're owed money, then it's going to be hard for you to ask for more work, or you get what I'm saying, more responsibilities to earn more money. So employee and employer both kind of need to work on that, in my opinion. Okay. And so again, I probably just gave the worst advice in the world. I'm not a perfect business owner. Okay. But that's how I'd want to be approached. I'd want to be approached by someone saying, hey, what can I do to earn more money? And also, when you ask that question, don't expect to be paid right away. Because if you're genuinely asking, what can I do? Then the company is going to have to sit down and think about it. Okay, what kind of responsibilities can we start delegating to this guy? It's not going to be yes, you're going to get $27 an hour raise right now. I mean, it's going to take time for them to think about it, but that's why I feel like we shouldn't be so afraid to talk about this stuff on a regular basis. Okay. Let me see if I've got comments in here. Yeah, we've got lots of them. All right, let's see. Is R290 the future refrigerant? Well, no. Okay. Basically, we need to stop looking at different flavors of refrigerant as something that's going to stay forever. Basically, if the eco nuts and all these different people have their way, we wouldn't use any refrigerant at all. Okay. We wouldn't even use water because, it harms the environment in all different types of ways. And I don't mean to say eco nut and demean people. It's just, basically, if all the eco people had their way, we wouldn't do anything to harm the ozone. In fact, we would be extinct and just disappear from the earth and let the earth thrive without us. Okay. So with that being said, they're constantly going to be pushing and pushing and pushing to get rid of everything. So don't get too accustomed to anything. The days of R12 and 502, okay, R12, 502, and even R22, they had a run and they lasted for a long time. Don't ever expect another refrigerant to last that long, okay? Because the shelf life of each refrigerant, in my opinion, is going to be 5 to 10 years. And then there's going to be a new flavor that's going to replace that one that's better, that's more advanced, that's whatever, okay? So don't think that you're just going to stick with one refrigerant for the next 10, 15 years. There's going to be new flavors that come out all the time. Okay. But R290 for right now, yeah, that's going to be the best one. Once we get past all the flammability stuff, I predict that R290 essentially is going to become the mainstream refrigerant. As soon as we can lift the charge limitations. Right now it's at 150 grams, which is like 5.6 ounces. I know that they're pushing to get that up to 300 grams. And then I would imagine I want to see it go higher than that too. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if you start seeing R290 being used on residential air conditioning systems and stuff like that. But who am I? I'm not the person pushing the buttons and pulling the strings. So, all right, let's see what else we got going on in here. As a tech in tech school, should you go commercial or residential? Lance Melson. First off, I saw a super chat come through. Let me acknowledge that. Philip, thank you so very much for that super chat. That is so awesome. I really, really appreciate that, bud. Okay, that is amazing. Thank you very much. Guys, it is super humbling, that you guys donate your hard-earned money in the form of a super chat or patron subscribers or YouTube channel members. It's awesome, guys. Or people purchasing merch too. That's amazing. Thank you very much. Okay. So, as a tech in tech school, should you go commercial or residential? It really depends. I mean, you can definitely get your start in commercial. You can definitely get your start in residential, but let me ask you this. Are you a sales-minded person? Okay. If you are a sales-minded person, then residential might be the way to go. If you like, dealing with customers and homeowners and coming up with plans and different ways to help them with their comfort cooling needs, and air cleaning needs and different things like that, then residential might be your way. But if you want to be a technical person, fixing things, solving weird mysteries and different stuff like that, commercial may be your path to go down, okay? But there's a money discrepancy. If you're a good salesman and you're not a liar and you don't steal from people, you can make some really good money being a salesman on the residential side right quick. I mean, pretty quick. If you get hired on with the right company, they can train you to become a salesman, pretty quick. But you need to be an ethical salesman, okay? Remember that. Don't forget the fact that, you don't want to be the person out there selling death to grandmas and grandpas, okay? Those people that go to, some of these there's some companies out there that train their service techs on how to sell death, essentially, right? They go out there and they say, your heat exchanger's cracked when it's not. Not all of them, okay? There's probably more good companies than there is bad, but just remember, don't become one of those salesmen that's trying to take advantage of old ladies just because they have a few dollars in their bank accounts, okay? You need to stay ethical and you need to be able to sleep at nighttime. But if you like solving, real complex things, you can get your start in commercial and work your way up. You can make very good money on the commercial side too. There's all different aspects. So it really depends on what kind of a person are you. Are you a knuckle busting mechanic? You're probably not going to be, really on the residential side if you're a knuckle busting mechanic that likes to fix things and solve problems. Okay. But if you're a clean cut guy that wants to be dressed nice and go to work and, you might want to look into the residential side for sure. Okay. Nothing wrong with either way. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. Have I accidentally caused a Linux package unit to turn off on a alarm code on a Prodigy board? I'm sure I've done something along the lines of that. There's lots of mistakes that I've made, by leaving a condenser fan motor unplugged and turning it on. Then if it goes off on high head pressure, I've set off smoke alarms accidentally and different things like that. You definitely want to learn from your mistakes for sure. Have I ever come across a refrigeration evaporator where someone put a locking cap on the suction service port? Well, Patrick, here in California, no, I have not come across one on an evaporator refrigeration, no, okay? But here in California, we have strict requirements as per Title 24, where we're technically supposed to put locking caps on all air conditioning systems or anything that's technically where the public can get to it, okay? But I can't say that I've ever come across a locking cap on a refrigeration system. No, I don't think I have. So, let me see what else. Have I ever had a Delfield reach-in freezer randomly trip a 15 amp breaker once a week? Unit draws 10 amps, nothing else on the circuit. How would you diagnose? Ooh, that's an interesting one. So that's a mystery for sure. So first and foremost, how would I diagnose that one? Well, I would do a full system workup on it, disassemble everything, look for electrical shorts in all the wiring. Look at the temperature controller on the Delfield freezers. They have a history of putting the temperature controllers where the grease from the condenser drips down into the control and it shorts it out. Yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. You need to just kind of go back to the basics and work your way, trying to make the problem come up. Definitely run the system through a defrost while you're on site, check current draws, check things like that. But that's a mystery for sure, and that one might be a problem, to try to figure out. Feel free to send me an email if you want to talk a little bit more about it, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. How would one go about to change the boss's perception of you? You feel like you're not going anywhere fast and you're more than likely to leave to another company. Well, Mr. Green, HVAC. Okay, remember, here's how I look at things. Okay, now I am what do you call it? I call it I'm an asshole. Okay, but at the same time, I'm the type of person that always, whenever something happens, right, I always think of myself first, meaning that if someone's pissed off at me, this is just how my brain works. Instead of being mad at them, I immediately am mad at myself and I try to reflect and figure out why they're pissed off at me. What did I do wrong? How did I do it? Instead of being the person that's on the defense all the time, I instantly always think, damn, what did I do? Did I mess up? And then once I get through the thought process of, dang, did I mess up? And I realized, no, I didn't mess up. Okay. Then, I'm not a person that tries to get even with someone or get angry with someone, but once I get past that, I don't feel as guilty. But my instant gut reaction is, wow, what did I do wrong? Okay. How did I mess that up? So with that being said, how do I get the boss to change the perception of me as an employee working for someone? Well, first and foremost, the way that I'm going to look at it is I'm going to look at myself. Okay. What am I doing wrong? How am I acting? Okay, why is the boss upset with me? The next thing I'm going to do in that situation is I'm going to sit my boss down and I'm going to say, hey, bud, I feel like something's not working here. Like, you're angry with me. Everybody at the company is angry. Something's going on. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't let it get to the point where it's at right now. See, because you feel like your boss is upset with you about something that's underlying that you can't figure out. We need to you need to get to it, stop beating around the bush and just sit down. Don't be rude about it. Don't be angry about it. Just sit down and say, hey, what's going on, man? Where did I mess up? Did I mess up? Is this a personality conflict? What's going on? That's the type of person that I am. And that's how I would approach that. All right. Let me see what else. Yeah. And David May, it is not always me. And sometimes people just don't like me, for sure. That is the truth. But I always approach it first of, I did something wrong. That's the type of person that I am. And I find that because sometimes, like for instance, okay, I'm going to make an example. My dad and I, we used to butt heads. My dad and I run this business together, okay? And a couple years back, we were butting heads really hard, okay? Now, I've talked about this stuff with my wife on my How We Live. If you haven't seen my How We Live the HVACR life series where I talk about my mental struggles and different craps like that with my wife, go check it out, okay? I'm just going to paraphrase it right now. I was going through a lot of issues. I was having anger issues, and at the same time, I was blaming my dad, okay? Now, there's some Freudian crap going on right there, but essentially it was me, okay? I was the one being a punk, and I was so angry at my dad, but yet we were arguing and things, and everything he did pissed me off, but I realized it wasn't him, it was me. I was screwing up, okay? I changed my outlook on things. I changed my attitude. I went and saw a therapist. I went and saw a doctor, and I got better. Well, it never, mental stuff never goes away. It's always there, but you learn how to cope with it, okay? So I've learned how to deal with it, and part of that came from that is me learning to reflect on myself, okay? Before I get angry at someone, if someone's angry at me, I think about myself first. And that works for me. I'm not saying that has to work for everybody. That's just the way that I approach everything. I don't have the perfect solution for everybody's problems, right? I just know what works for me, and this is what worked for me, and if it works for you, great. If not, maybe you can get something from my experience or my mistakes. So, all right, let's see what else we got going on in here. Why is superheat and subcooling so critical to good system operation? The easiest way to understand why superheat and subcooling is so critical is because essentially it's the performance factor Okay, the superheat, the easiest way to understand superheat is the superheat is the measurement of the performance of the evaporator, and the subcooling is a measurement of the performance of the condenser, okay? The way that the refrigerant is reacting inside the condenser is reflected in the subcooling, okay? Expansion valves require solid column of liquid, okay? 100% liquid going to the expansion valve. If you don't have subcooling coming out of your condenser, then you do not have 100% liquid going to your expansion valve. Plain and simple, okay? So the system's not going to work right if you don't have the proper subcooling. If your subcooling's 30 degrees coming out of your condenser, there's something wrong there. That condenser is being overworked and there's way too much refrigerant likely in that condenser, okay? So the subcooling is the easiest way to give you a general perspective of how your system's operating. Now, there's a lot more factors that go into it, okay? Airflow and different things like that. But that's why superheat and subcooling are so important, because they're a performance metric that tells you if you have proper refrigerant going to the expansion valve, okay, and or if you have too much refrigerant, liquid refrigerant coming back to your compressor, if your evaporator's not boiling the refrigerant off. So they're just there to simply give you a performance metric or performance evaluation of the evaporator and condenser. Again, those are very vague explanations that I think make the most sense to most people, okay? All right, let's see what else. Fluke196. Fluke196. Thank you so very much for that super chat. And you said you hope that this show is therapeutic. It actually is, to be honest with you. I'm the type of person that holds things in. So being able to talk on a live stream actually does help me, believe it or not, because it just lets me, you know, just be more open to talking. And, you know, where I thrive, for instance, okay, this weekend, my wife and I and my daughters, we decided, you know, I was so done being home, right? And New Year's Day or day after New Year's, I just said, you know what, we're going somewhere. I wasn't on call, and I just said, we're going to get out of the house. I'm done with the sitting at home all the time. Again, we're in a stay-at-home lockdown here in California. So I said, you know what, we're going to get in the car and we're going to drive up to Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is about 2.5, 3 hours with absolutely no traffic from my house. But normally it's about 3.5 to 4 hours with traffic. Okay. So, when I go on long drives, to be honest with you, I was going to post something about this, but I put on music and I usually veg out. And it was kind of funny because I get in the car and, when I like to drive, I like to relax. So I listen to yacht rock. Okay. Old school 70s and 80s, early 80s rock. Okay. Doobie Brothers, Steely Dan, just really mellow stuff, right? Kind of like 70s porn music almost in a way. But so we're driving down the road and I grabbed my phone and I put it on, what was I listening to? I think I might have been listening to Doobie Brothers or something. And it's so funny because my family, they know that that's what relaxes me. So my wife puts on headphones. My two daughters are in the back of the car. They both have headphones on and we're driving down the road and I'm just vibing, right? Just driving just for my 2-hour drive, just listening to whatever, you know, because I just like to chill out. So it's therapeutic for me to drive, but I tend to want to sit by myself and not talk to myself, which it feels good for me, but it's actually not good, right? Because like, let's say for instance, if I'm at home all day and my wife and kids are here and, you know, they're talking and want to talk to me and different things like that, it's actually not good for me because I need to talk to them more, but sometimes I just like to get in my van and go for a drive, right? So these live streams help me because it gets me talking more. And I try, again, I'm always working on my mental struggles. You know, I'm just that kind of person that sometimes just want to clam up and not talk about things. So, all right. Side jobs without the boss. Why? If you didn't take a job from him, then what? Okay. So how do I feel about side work as an employer? Okay. Here's how I feel about side work as an employer. I can't control what people do on their personal time. Okay. Here in California, I have no business controlling what my employees do on their personal time, but they cannot mess with my likeness as a company. So, for instance, it is absolutely unacceptable, it is in our employee handbook, for our employees to do side work for our customers and or our customers' families, okay, because they can mess with our likeness. And here's how I bring it up to them. Okay, so let's say I have a restaurant customer. I don't do residential air conditioning, but what happens if I have a restaurant customer and he goes to myself or one of my employees and says, hey, my air conditioner at my house isn't working. Can you come fix it? Okay. It seems innocent enough, but if it doesn't work out, I can 100% guarantee you that that customer is going to call me when my employee doesn't take care of them or something happens. So with that being said, they can't do side work for my customers, right? Obviously they can't compete with me. They can't take jobs from me. And they cannot use my vehicle. They cannot use my tools. Okay. But they can use their own tools. I can't control that. So I have no problem with my guys doing side work on their own time in their own vehicles. As long as they're not representing me. They better not be in an employee uniform. They better not be charging stuff to my accounts, different things like that. It's just common sense, okay? But yeah, I have no problem with my guys doing side work. But when they start competing with me, that becomes a problem, okay? But yeah, anyways, that's my opinion on the side work here. Let me see what else. Solder is weak. Okay, so I don't know what that is. Was there service calls that involved multiple breakers tripped? I'm sure, you know, that's just an electrical short, but that's a hard one. But if it's their own side work, shouldn't be a problem if they get it on their own. Yeah, definitely not, as long as they're not working for my customers. Okay. But again, if they're working for my customers, then that's a conflict of interest and they are violating our employee handbook. So, and that's a fireable offense because, you know, it will happen. Okay. Okay. So again, side work, right? How do I feel about side work? Personally, before I was an owner, I didn't like doing side work. I have done it, but I didn't like it because who is responsible if something bad happens, right? If my employee is at someone's house and something bad happens and my employee doesn't have the insurance to cover it, do you think if they're one of my customers, they're going to come after me? Probably, you know, and then we're going to have to get legal and it's going to cost me a bunch of money, even though I had nothing to do with it, because I'm going to have to hire lawyers to defend me, to say the employee had nothing to do with me, right? But I'm still going to have to spend money, okay? So side work, again, I have no problem with it, but who's insuring you? What happens if something bad happens? You know, that becomes a real iffy area. Here living in California, you don't want to mess with liability. Liability is no joke here. We as employee, as a business, it's ridiculous what we're liable for and what the insurance we as an employer have to carry. We're talking millions of dollars in insurance that we have to pay for every single month because of stupid stuff. I mean, it's insane sometimes. And you work on some of these shopping malls and the insurance plans they make you, oh my gosh, they're ridiculous. They make you get. Let me see. What if an employee gets a job doing a side job? What if an employee, David May, what if an employee gets a job doing a side job? As in, what do you mean? Like he gets a job for me? I mean, you know, I don't know. Or if, you know, I've had employees be poached while working and go work for someone else. Like I've had that happen, but that's a whole nother thing. Marat, thank you so very much for that super chat, bud. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have I ever dealt with customer meltdowns? Yeah, I've had customers melt down before. Again, guys, I try to relate to the customer as much as possible, right? Okay, right now we're going through a really stressful time. Nobody has money for anything, and I work for a lot of chain restaurants, right? So you have a restaurant general manager that just loses his stuff because I tell him that he's got a bad compressor. When in reality, the corporation's paying for everything, so why is he pissed off, okay? But when you really start to think about it, how corporations work is the restaurants are bonused on their expenses. And a lot of them have been changing this because they realized there was problems with this, but they're bonused on their expenses. So if the restaurant's spending a bunch of money repairing equipment, then that goes against the restaurant manager's bonuses, okay? And right now, those restaurant managers, they actually took pay cuts. Almost all the restaurants that I work for here in California, all the big chain restaurants, some of those guys have taken anywhere from 15 to 30% pay cuts, the general managers, and they still work at that place. And it's crazy, right? And then their bonuses are nothing right now. So if anything, so I've had meltdowns, but again, I try to put myself in their shoes, right? It's still frustrating. I realize they're losing their cool, they're yelling, whatever, but why? What's going on here? Maybe they got something going on at home. You know, I try to look for the best in people as much as possible. And try to give them the benefit of the doubt. That's just my personal opinion. Again, maybe I'm completely wrong, but that's just how I approach things. So, All right, let me see what else. Have I ever gotten electrocuted? Yeah, but nothing to be memorable by. I mean, I've been shocked by 120 volts. That's the most. A single leg of 208, which is 120 volts. I've never been shocked by anything else other than that. Cross my fingers. I try to be as safe as possible. It's not really something we want to brag about because you can be killed by very low voltage. So your heart can stop with a very minimal amount of voltage going to it. So you definitely don't want to be. It's not something that we want to brag about or be boastful about because it's dangerous. Bottom line. So road rage story. I could tell you a funny one. I had an employee one time who was driving on the freeway, and here in Southern California, well, actually in the West Coast, in Laughlin, Nevada, we have a big biker get together called the Laughlin River Run. Okay. So it was Laughlin River Run time. And we have a lot of major biker gangs here in California. We have Hells Angels, Mongols, a couple other ones I can't think of right now. But a lot of them have their main hubs down here, or large groups of them are down here. So about that time of year, whenever the Laughlin River Run's going on, you get large caravans of motorcycles running up the main interstate 15 north, and they'll go by with hundreds of them because they all ride out together. So I had one of my service techs was driving down the freeway, and he got a little mouthy because motorcycle was being a punk to him, and he like flipped off the motorcycle rider or something like that. And there was a few of them, and they got off they kind of ran him off the road, but he just kind of figured, you know what, I'm just going to leave the situation. You know, he got off the freeway at the exit. Well, they followed him. And then, again, he kind of got a little mouthy with them. He pulled into the gas station, and then the guy was kind of getting in his face, and he had his like van window rolled down, and nothing happened, but he was just kind of screaming at him. But what was interesting, we laugh about it now because it was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but we laugh about it now, but it was kind of scary because that dude threatened to kill him. And then he's looking at this giant, and I remember telling my employee, I'm like, dude, what the hell were you thinking? You're in a freaking traveling billboard. We have a giant white van with our company name on the side, and all of our vans look the same. So if this guy threatened to kill you, what are the odds he's going to come after me or one of the other guys that drives a van thinking that it's you? Like, what are you thinking, you dummy? But it was just kind of funny, you know. Nothing happened, but my guy called me. He was on the phone with me, and I could tell he was all scared. He was all shaky, and as he should be. There's a couple different bikers right there, you know, wanting to start crap with him. But it all worked out. Nobody got hurt. Nobody anything. But I mean, road rage other than that, I'll tell you the biggest mistake we ever did was put our name on our van. We don't get any advertising from the name on our van other than pregnant school moms driving to school that swear up and down that my employees cut them off. And I've even had them call on me before, where they'll call and I answer the phone, and I'm like, yeah, you know, how you doing? And oh yeah, one of your guys just cut me off on the freeway. And I remember thinking, okay, what freeway was this? Oh, you know, the 91, whatever. And I go, okay, and what exit are we at? And I said, ma'am, that was me. I said, I didn't cut you off. You need to learn how to drive. When you're getting on the freeway, hit the gas. And, you know, and then I'm pregnant and all this stuff. But so it happens, you know. People need to realize, well, what they don't realize, again, you got to put yourselves in the people's shoes, right? The people that are angry, they don't understand is that we drive for a living. They don't. So they're not as comfortable on the freeway. There's some people that still get on the freeway and they're afraid to hit the gas pedal. They get on the freeway and doing 30 miles an hour, and they pull in front of a diesel truck, and the diesel truck honks at them, and they think that the diesel truck did something wrong. It's like, no, when you get on the freeway, you got to hit that gas, you know? But some people don't realize that, and they just don't know it. So anyways, there's nothing crazy road rage story though. All right. Why are some heat exchangers made of steel? Well, to try to make them last longer, essentially. But I mean, I don't know. Did I call my employee a dummy or a dumbass? I think I might have called him I don't remember what I called him. In joking back and forth, I probably called him a dumbass. We all laughed about it. It went on for like months where we all joked around with each other thinking we were going to get killed because we were driving a white service van with our company name on it. How often am I on call? Do I work almost every weekend? John Peterson, right now. Okay. So I'm actually working on my company, on-call schedule. I was working on it this weekend. Okay. So we do an on-call rotation, and, we have 5 on-call slots, even though I only have 4 service techs, including myself. So, Actually, I only have 2 other service techs in the on-call rotation. So I take 3 weeks of on-call, and then the other 2 guys take the 2 weeks. So I'm on call for 3 weeks in a row, and then my other guys each get a week, okay? So I'm working on the on-call schedule right now, and we do a rotating schedule. I know this doesn't make sense to you guys. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we do a rotating schedule. So you're only ever on call for 3 days at a time. You see Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday right here. And then the next week, that technician is on call Thursday. And then every week, it goes back down, 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 down. So it's a rotating schedule. So no service tech ever gets the same day every week. And it rotates around. And you're only ever on call for 3 days at a time, if that makes sense. And it's rotating to try to keep it down. But right now, we're not getting calls. Over the New Year's holiday, we didn't get any single calls. And then over Christmas, I got 1 service call. So we're dead right now. Restaurants are just absolutely dead. Let me see what else we got going on in here. Have I ever seen kitchen conditions so bad in one of my customers' restaurants that made me not want to eat there? Yeah. Yeah, I don't work for any of those restaurants anymore, though, because to be honest with you, when restaurants are that dirty, you don't even want to work for them anymore, because those particular customers that absolutely have no care about their restaurants, they do not want to pay. They're the worst customers in the world to work for. So we will quickly fire those customers if we ever find customers that aren't willing to fix their equipment, clean their restaurants, and maintain them. If you guys see something you think is absolutely disgusting in my videos, you need to understand I still work for every one of those restaurants. And if you think it's gross, it's really not that bad. I have worked for customers, and I wish I had videos and pictures. What I've shown on my videos is nothing compared to the stuff that I've seen. Like, I don't work for any of those restaurants anymore, though. So I will eat at every single one of my restaurants that you see in my videos for sure. So what the general public thinks is gross when it comes to restaurant refrigeration really isn't. Every restaurant has bugs in the restaurant. Every restaurant has rodents in the restaurant. It's what they do to mitigate them and prevent them, okay? It's natural that there's going to be dirt on the floor of a restaurant. It's natural that there's going to be a piece of food that fell behind a drawer unit in a box. It's what the customer does to clean them. And when we bring it up to them, you know, as long as they clean it, then we're good with it. Johan, thank you so very much for that super chat, man. I really, really appreciate it. He asks if a customer has ever said that they won't pay me. Yes, I have. I've talked about it before. I've had a couple different customers dispute bills. There was one in particular that I remember, and I've told this story a few times, where I was at a bar. It was a first-time visit. We told the customer it was going to be COD, cash on demand. They had to write me a check or give me cash that day when I left. They had an ice machine not working, and the customer didn't like that. I told them when I got there it was so dirty that I had to spend time cleaning it to be able to diagnose it. Well, after I spent 2.5 hours cleaning the machine, I realized that the evaporator was trashed. It needed a whole new evaporator, and the machine had several broken parts in it. Well, then I proceeded to give her a bill and tell her that she needed to replace the ice machine, and she didn't like that. And she proceeded to talk crap about me in front of her customers, because I was behind the bar working on her ice machine. And she proceeded to try to belittle me in front of her customers, and it was really satisfying because I knew I wasn't going to get paid, and I knew it was a very minuscule 2 hours of time. It was nothing in comparison. So I actually took the bill and ripped it up in front of her face and told her to lose my number, and I had a few choice words to tell her too. I made sure I told them in front of her customer to embarrass her. I'm not a person that likes to do that stuff, but sometimes those people, they need to get put in their place, because she had no business talking to me in the way that she did, and I was being nothing but respectful. So when I ripped up the bill, I told her to lose my number, and, yeah, I didn't get paid for that one, but it was satisfying to be able to walk out the door and, know that I said what needed to be said. I've had other people, complain and different things like that. And for the most part, especially if they're normal customers, if they're complaining about something, as long as it's not some crazy amount, it's just sometimes easier just to make the bill disappear and make it up some other way or something like that. It just depends on the customer, but you have to read the room. If it starts happening often, then obviously you need to fire that customer and move on. But sometimes there's complaints that you're never going to win the battle on, and it's just as easy just to let it go, so that way you can keep working with that customer in the future. So let me see what else we got in here. In all honesty, let me see what else. For sure, Oh yeah, no, I don't know what that is right there. You're looking to get into HVAC. What are the top things you should know? Killer Boy 5151. I'm gonna kind of lump your question into here with some other ones too that someone had asked. So let me get into here. Where's the question? Where is this? I thought I had another question in here that was very similar to yours. No, I guess not. So, things that you should know before you get into HVAC. Well, first and foremost, try to find a local trade school that you can get into. Okay, preferably community college, at least to start. Take one class at a community college. It's very minimal expense. See if you like the trade. If you do, if it seems like something that's interesting to you, then you can try to apply to whatever school you want to go to. It doesn't necessarily have to be the community college, but I'd hate for you to go to a private school, shell out $10,000 to $20,000, and then find out you don't like this career. Okay, that's kind of a bummer. So that's why I say to start out at a community college, take a class or two, see if it's something you're interested in. And then if you feel that the community college can't give you the proper education, then go look for another school and maybe a private school or whatever. And kind of go from there. Start with the schooling, try to get an apprenticeship, sweep floors, whatever you got to do at a local company, air conditioning, refrigeration, or anything. Joshua Sweet, thank you so much for that super chat, man. I really, really appreciate it. Do I ever get any customers that pay me more than the quote, like a tip? No, I've never had a customer give me a tip or pay me more than I asked for. Doesn't really happen per se in commercial. I have, on the other hand, though, have customers, big giant restaurant chains and facilities managers and different things like that be honest with me and upfront, just tell me, hey, your pricing's too low. I've had that happen before, where, hey, your hourly rate's really low for the area. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. You kind of bump it up a little bit or something like that. But that's very rare. Very, very rare. Let me see what else. Go to Mount SAC. Yeah, I personally went to Mount SAC. Mount San Antonio Community College here in Southern California. I took classes there from like 2002. Honestly, I never finished the program. I still have to take a technical mathematics class and a welding class to be able to complete my certificate. And I recently ran into one of my old professors, and he was kind of getting down on me because he's like, dude, you need to finish your certificate, because apparently the community colleges, the way that they get credit and get funding and different things like that is by the amount of students that actually make it through the entire program. So for me to not complete the program and to be so close, I'm actually hurting the college. So I definitely need to go finish that one day so I can be a success number to them as opposed to just some person that got what he needed and moved on. So, all right. Do I work on hot gas reheat much? No, I don't. Sorry. It's not very common here. We don't have humidity, so we really don't have a need for hot gas reheat. Recommendations to be better in-house maintenance tech for HVAC, refrigeration, and cooking equipment at a restaurant. Well, just make sure you understand the HVAC and refrigeration cycle, the components and the electrical process. Go to a trade school. Go take a class at a local community college. One of my favorite books, I don't have it here because it's sitting in my van right now, is Commercial Refrigeration for Air Conditioning Technicians by Dick Wers. Look up that book. There's a link in the show notes of this, the info of this live stream right now. It's like an Amazon link for that book too. But that's a great book that'll help you get started. But understanding the fundamentals is like the number one thing for this trade. Okay. I already answered that question. Chris had asked me, he sent me an email asking me about using a Honeywell thermostat. So I constantly or regularly use the Honeywell commercial thermostat. It's the TH8320, I think. It's the Vision Pro, whatever, Red Link capable commercial thermostat is what I use all the time. And so he has an office space that has multiple units on the roof, and they share common areas, and they've got thermostats located all over the office building, right out in the space where the occupants are at. And they kind of wanted to get away with that, and he was just kind of curious what I thought his best options were. So they're not running VAVs or anything like that. So they're just straight cooling units, right? So your options, would probably be best because they want the thermostats out of the conditioned space. So I would say take all those thermostats and put them into a closet. and put zone sensors out in the conditioned space. You can actually run multiple zone sensors. You can average them, get different temperatures that way. Honeywell has wireless stuff, but I'm not a huge fan of wireless because the signals can be interfered with. So Honeywell has like their Red Link system. I personally haven't had the greatest experience with the Red Link stuff, especially when you have a lot of interference in the room. I prefer to have wired zone sensors out there, but it's definitely something you could do. Just make sure, depending on how you're running your thermostat wiring, if you're going to be running it with data cables and other things like that, that you use shielded wire if at all possible. It's not really practical. Most people don't run thermostat wire and conduit anymore. So if you are going to run it exposed with data cables and different things like that, just make sure you're using shielded wire. So hopefully that you can also look into some energy management systems. Pelican makes some thermostat kind of EMS internet based thermostats, Pelican thermostats, and they have some pretty cool inexpensive stuff. I personally never worked with it, but I've heard a lot of good stuff about it, so you can definitely look into the Pelican stuff too. All right, let me see what else we got going on in here. I had, for some reason, a lot of people asking me about my very most recent video that I released yesterday, if I was doing okay, because I seemed really tired and depressed. It was early in the morning. I released that video really late, and I got up super early because we were out for the weekend, and normally my videos post at 5 a.m. on Sunday, my time, and I didn't post my video till like 11 o'clock in the morning, but I got up early and recorded the outro of the video, so I'm fine. It was just tired. I wanted to talk about this. So I'm going to say this person's anonymous because I don't want to say their name. Okay. So he asked me a question and he wanted to know, so he had a previous employer that he was let go from. Okay. And he's been working for another employer for quite a few months now, and he's happy at the new employer, but the old employer is asking him to come back and offering him a pay raise. Okay. So again, I'm not going to say this guy's name, but he was kind of curious what my thoughts were, okay? And here's how I answered his email and told him that I would talk about it on here too. Is remember, okay, money is not everything, all right? So for him, he has a wife at home and kids, and his wife has some medical problems and stuff. So I told him that, remember, okay, money is not necessarily everything. Your happiness is everything. I don't know why he got fired from the previous company. I don't know if there's problems at the previous company, but if they haven't worked out the reason why he was fired, maybe there's still going to be problems there. He's happy at the company he's working at now, but he's making less money. Again, so it's about a money thing. So I can't make his decision for him, but I just told him, remember that money is not everything. Okay. If you're miserable at work, you're going to be miserable in your personal life. It's going to be taken home in one way or another. Okay. So, and the same thing goes, if you're miserable at home with your home life, it's going to be taken to work. So you got to figure that stuff out, because that's a very hard thing to deal with. Okay. But, I told him just to remember that money's not everything. And he obviously needs to do what's best for him and his family. And sometimes you have to take a job because of money. But I mean, you got to remember that, are you going to be happy? You got to reflect on that and think about that. All right. Let's see what else we got going on in here. What do I think of a Browning sheave gauges? Ever use them? Yeah, I use sheave gauges quite often. I've showed them in my videos several times. I have the Browning ones. There's some off-brand ones. I like the sheave gauges. They're amazing. So you guys have ever seen them in my videos? I might even have one. Hold on. Nope, doesn't look like I have one back there, but essentially you can put it in a pulley. I call them pulley gauges, right? Because everybody will fight me over the fact that I call sheaves pulleys. But it basically, you put it in there. Mine's blue, and you put it in there, and it's like triangle shaped, and it tells you when the pulley's worn out, to the fact that it's time to replace. But yeah, I love using sheave gauges. They're a great thing, especially for new people getting into the trade that can't see how a pulley is supposed to be. They're a great resource to use. Have I experienced a major propane system failure, such as a fire or worse? No, I have not, Joshua Mays. Not yet. Let me see what else. Have I ever been to a restaurant where the condenser was inside the building? Yeah, I've had condensers in the attic, in really horrible places, covered in grease that you can't clean because they're overcooking equipment. Yeah, all kinds of weird stuff in restaurants. How come I didn't use Zoom Lock in the new Ooh, great question, Chad, because I wanted to cover that. I had two questions that came up, okay? The two most common questions. So in my recent video, I knew that question was coming. How come I didn't use the Zoom Lock Max tool, okay? The other question that I know was going to come was how come I didn't just use tubing benders, okay, instead of brazing in the copper lines? And then the other question that I get is how come you use soft copper and benders? Brazing is so much cleaner. Every single job is different, okay? I have the Zoom Lock Max tool. I have the Zoom Lock Max fittings, and it really depends on the particular job, okay? Things that are going to deter me away from using the Zoom Lock Max are situations where I know I'm not going to be able to properly support the pipe, especially if it's dropping down through the ceiling and running across the top of a box or something like that. And I know that the budget of the quote doesn't allow to be properly supported. I'm probably not going to use the Zoom Lock Max tool, okay? The Zoom Lock Max tool is a press style fitting. I have used it recently in one of my videos, and it's a great tool. I haven't had any problems with it. But in order to use the Zoom Lock Max stuff, you have to follow proper piping practices to a T, and everything needs to be supported properly because you don't want any unnecessary vibration or weird angles on the pipe or anything like that, okay? So it really just depends on every single different job, okay? Sometimes, like for instance, my recent video that I piped all the walk-in equipment in and I brazed everything on the roof, I started to do that with soft copper. I actually had it bent out and I just didn't like the way that it looked. So I had probably about 12 feet of copper that I had done a couple bends on, and it just looked like crap. So I threw it away and then just did hard piped because I'm really about looks to a certain extent. Okay. To be honest with you, I ran a soft line set in the attic though. Okay. So you saw on the roof where it was all hard piped, but then I did soft in the attic and just ran it on top of the box and, you know, supported it properly. But so I don't care if it's soft copper in the attic or if I use a bender or it doesn't look amazing in the attic because nobody's going to see that as long as nobody's tripping over it. But on the roof, I try to keep stuff clean and straight because I like things to look good. So it really depends on every single job, you know. I'll approach everyone differently. You know, if I feel like Zoom Lock Max is going to be a great fit for that job, then I'll use it. You know, and if I feel like brazing everything in, then I'll do it. It just depends. So with me, my head works in real mysterious ways. So it really depends on what I feel like doing at that moment. All right, let me see what else. What am I missing? Which cell phone am I using for shooting videos? Two cell phones that I use. I use the Samsung S10 Plus for shooting most of my videos. This is my work phone. And then I have a Samsung S Note 20 something or other that I use for my videos phone. But I go back and forth between the two phones and shooting. The S10 Plus actually has better audio. So the microphone on it is so much better than the microphone on the S20 or the Note 20 Ultra, whatever fancy this thing is. But the camera on the Note 20 Ultra is amazing. So it's really a toss-up between the two. But I don't use fancy cameras or anything. I find that being able to keep a phone in my pocket is so much easier because it's just like you just run and gun, you know, just grab it and boom. The reason why, and again, why do I have two phones? That seems silly. Well, this is my work phone, right? And something that I've realized with my work phone, even though I like the audio on this better, is that I'll be in the middle of filming a job and phone calls will be coming in. And then it just messes up my whole scene that I just filmed and stuff. So I've been filming a lot more on my Note phone because then I don't get interrupted. Nobody has the phone number to my Note phone and I have phone calls just turned off, period. And I just love it. And see, that's the interesting thing too. I bought this not to be able to even use it as a phone. I bought it to use it as a camera and an internet browsing device. It's so interesting because for the money, this is the best camera. For me, I don't need like fancy DSLRs and stuff. So for me, this does everything that I need it to do for filming my stuff. I don't need a fancy camera, but that's my personal choice. Another question I get all the time, a person will email me and say, hey, I want to start making YouTube videos. What camera do you use? What audio stuff do you use? Guys, don't spend a crap ton of money if you want to start making YouTube videos. A simple GoPro will work fine, or a cell phone will work fine. It depends on what you like. So me personally, I'm a big fan about audio. I don't like when audio sounds like crap. That's just my personal preference. But some people don't care. Okay, there's plenty of very successful YouTube channels out there that have horrible audio and people still love it and still watch it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not my cup of tea, okay? But don't go spend a crap ton of money if you want to film your own calls and stuff like that. I just use my phone. iPhones work just fine too. So I had a friend that recently wanted to start a YouTube channel, nothing HVAC related. He was working on cars. And he's like, yeah, what camera? And I'm like, dude, don't. Just use your phone, man. You have the best camera in your pocket right now. Most inexpensive camera you can use. Just use your phone. All right. Do I prefer a fixed size pulley or an adjustable? Mike, I get a lot of people telling me, you know, I should be using fixed style pulleys, and I get it, but most of my customers don't want to pay for me to return visit to put on a fixed style pulley. So I usually just put adjustables on there and just leave them on. I understand the logic of using a fixed pulley though, because theoretically, if you use old school mentality, which it is really smart to do this, if you balance a building, right? So to balance the air in the building, you're going to adjust the pulleys. You're going to get the airflow right. You're going to get the outside air right and all this different stuff. But if you balance a building, theoretically, you should never have to change the balance settings again. So there's no reason to have an adjustable pulley if you've properly balanced the building, because you take an adjustable pulley, you find the right fan speed, right? And then you change it to a fixed pulley and you're good to go. And theoretically, you wouldn't be wearing out that pulley as much. There's a lot of truth in that, okay? But most customers, they don't want to use that logic, so we just keep fixed pulleys on everything. It'd be a neat concept to use we use adjustable pulleys. It would be a neat concept to put fixed pulleys on them, though. Caesar, thank you so very much for that super chat, bud. How much does an HVAC technician make per hour? Well, it just depends. HVAC service technicians here in Southern California, as an apprentice, you're probably going to make about $18 an hour starting. And as just a general service tech, you're probably going to top out $35 to $40 an hour as a general service tech. And then once you start taking on more responsibility, that's in like restaurant service. Once you start taking on more responsibility, get into management, that kind of stuff, then the pay rate will go up. If you get into industrial and supermarket stuff, you can expect to make a little bit more. So you can make a decent living here living in Southern California. Unfortunately, the thing about Southern California is we're a 3-income state. So, you know, you got to make 3 incomes to kind of survive out here. It's kind of crazy. All right. How loud can an evaporator get, and what is the loudest evaporator I've heard? I don't know, bud. How loud can an I mean, I don't really know much about decibels and stuff. When they're getting loud, something's usually wrong. Fan motors are hitting or vibrating or something like that. Is it true that you shouldn't run an air conditioner during winter? You do occasionally, but you can't because you can't. There's nothing wrong with running your air conditioner in the wintertime. You know, there's going to be ill effects. I mean, as long as your house is warm, it's going to be fine. You know, it'd be one thing if you're trying to cool down a cold house, then yeah, you could run into some problems. But running your air conditioner in the winter is not a big deal. You know, just have to have it serviced and make sure people are using it or servicing it correctly. What refrigerant is in my air conditioner and refrigerator, and do I service and fix them myself? Yes, I do. I have one of these. I keep saying I'm going to do this, but maybe that's one of my goals for this year too. I keep saying I'm going to make a video about my home air conditioning system. It's a horribly messed up, oversized 4-ton with like a 80,000 BTU furnace. It might even be a 100,000 BTU furnace. I can't remember because it's a 4-ton. It might be an 80, but it's way oversized on the furnace. It's way oversized on the air conditioning. It's R22. It's just a horrible setup. The ductwork is horrible. We have hot spots all over the house. It's just not something I will one of these days replace it. As far as my refrigerators, I got an R290 refrigerator in my garage, and I got a normal refrigerator in the house. Probably has butane in it or something. I don't know. I've never looked at it. Dumbest call ever. Drove 183 miles round trip for a stuck doorbell button. Big, loud bell. They thought it was an alarm bell. Oh, wow. That's crazy, Peter. I've had lots of service calls where I drive to turn things on. I just recently had one where I went out there and turned on a breaker. I think I made a video about it, but I ended up finding other things wrong. So it was kind of cool, right? Because I drove out there and was like, yeah, you guys got issues. We'll come back. But all that I had to do on that initial service call was turn the circuit breaker on that the customer had turned off. Do I use an Alnor flow hood for airflow testing? Aaron, no. I've always wanted to get an Alnor flow hood so that I can, with the velocity matrix attachment, so I can test the airflow at exhaust filter grills and stuff. But no, I don't do any air balancing. It's more of a novelty for me. I already answered that question. What was the most frustrating emergency service call I've come across? Probably the most frustrating one is turn a brake on. Those are really frustrating. You drive really far. I used to work in the Coachella Valley. Well, I still do Palm Springs work, right, in the Coachella Valley, but I had a service call from the Coachella Valley on a Friday afternoon, like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, no, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was already out there working, and I got a service call in Long Beach, California, at the port of Long Beach. So I kid you not, it took me like 3.5 hours to get there to drive to do. That was an irritating one. And then to drive home in that traffic too was a nightmare. Let's see. What was the most frustrating emergency service call? Dumbest call. Yeah, I see your guys' comments. You don't need this fancy phone. This is my personal preference. You could do it with your... When I first started filming the first videos on my YouTube channel, I know you guys are just joking, but the first videos on my YouTube channel were filmed with my Samsung Note 4, I think, you know, my work phone. Yeah, it's just super simple. You don't need to be complicated. What do I believe is the best HVAC tuck? You personally use a full-size Transit and don't have any problems with it. John, that's an interesting topic because I drive Chevy Express vans. They do really well for us out here. They're very predictable. We know that, you know, 150 to 200,000 miles, you're going to need some transmission work. We know that 250 to 300,000 miles, you're going to need some engine work. You know, brakes and rotors and stuff like that are going to be irregular, but they're pretty constant. They're rear wheel drive. They can hold a serious load in them. We probably run them a little bit overloaded. I've heard a lot of complaints about the different vans out there. The Mercedes Sprinter vans, I've heard that they're expensive. I don't know. I haven't priced them, but I've heard they're expensive to work on, that kind of stuff. The Dodge ProMasters are front wheel drive, which can be problematic for snowy areas. The Ford vans, honestly, the wheels and tires look too dang small on those things, and I feel like I couldn't load them up. But that's personal preference. I don't know. I drive the Chevy vans. They've done good. I used to have a 3/4 ton Chevy truck. That did good for me too, but that thing was a beast to drive. It was just a boat, and it was a gas hog for sure. I like the Chevy Express vans. Let me see. All right, let me look at my list of things. What am I missing here? I get a lot of comments about using a portable steamer to clean condenser coils. That's something that I'm interested in. I've just never really, it's kind of one of those things where I don't think I need it. It's more of a novelty. One of these days I might pick up a steamer just to try it, but it's kind of hard because sometimes, you know, there's certain tools out there that I just have no interest in even trying because they look silly to me. The portable steamer is right on the edge of being silly and not, so I don't know. Maybe I'll try it. Do I choose my customers or do I have to take anyone that pays? Mr. Green. Well, I mean, I don't get to just, I don't make so much money that I get to just say, oh yeah, I don't want to work with them. I won't work with them. But right now I'm limited by my staff that I have, my employees, and we're understaffed, meaning we don't have enough employees for the workload. So I can't take any more work. So I keep the customers that I have, thankfully, and try to keep them happy. And I am turning down other customers simply because I can't get to them right now. I would love to do more work so I can make more money for sure, but it's just a problem that you run into. Would I ever consider becoming an electrician? I don't know. I've thought about getting my getting my contractor's license in electrical work. I've thought about doing that just because. Would I be just a plain and simple electrician? No, but it'd be a really handy thing to have my contractor's license and be able to do legit electrical work while I'm doing my HVAC work. If I didn't have to have them call an electrician because legally I'm not supposed to change circuit breakers and things like that. And you know, if I could just do that work, that would be really cool because I could keep doing what I'm doing, but just do more of the work associated with what I'm doing, you know? So yeah, I've thought about getting my electrical contractor's license for sure. All right. How does a non-on-call service work? Your dad is a furniture repair tech and he has scheduled calls because not on call. Does it work like that? No, in HVAC, you've got to do on-call. Whether you're doing residential or commercial, almost every company out there has some sort of an on-call service. I guess there's some companies that won't do on-call, but for the most part, majority of the companies have some sort of an on-call. But if you're not doing refrigeration work, it's very minimal after-hours emergency calls. You know, if you're doing refrigeration, you're going to get them. So let me see. Any advice for someone who's about to do on-call? just, you better understand how to do things. Don't be nervous about it. Just, you need to understand sequence of operation. Don't let someone throw you into an on-call rotation if you're not comfortable with doing the service calls. And also, you need to have a good support staff behind that. So you need to have people to call and talk to and run things by. But remember, don't go out to a service call and expect the person on the other end of the phone to solve the problem for you. You call them with the facts and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what it's doing. What do you think? Can I get some help? That kind of stuff. Let me see what I got on my list here. Oh, this was a really interesting question, and this was a good one. So in my recent video about a Delfield refrigerator, I made a comment about checking the refrigerant charge in the Delfield refrigerator. So this was a cold rail on the top with the base section down below. So on the Delfield cold rails, okay, they have what we call a static cold rail, meaning that there's no evaporator fan motor. It's just a wrap of refrigeration lines that becomes the evaporator. And when you put the pans in the top, it becomes the space below the pans becomes the air, right? And the medium for a heat exchange. So why is it that you have to, or that I recommend when you're diagnosing refrigerant charge issues that you turn off the top section, okay? So when I'm diagnosing refrigerant issues on the Delfield units, I turn off the top and I just look at the pressures with the bottom running. And the reason why is because it's a static evaporator, what happens is it tends to rob the refrigerant. When you have the top and the bottom running, what actually happens is the refrigerant all goes to the evaporator on the top. It's a flooded style evaporator, and the refrigerant all goes up to there, and it just throws things off. Now, the main reason, though, is because Delfield publishes their data with just the bottom section running. So if you call Delfield and you're working on a 404A unit, the manufacturer, and you say, hey, what are the operating pressures for this unit at this temperature? They'll say, well, we don't publish the data for the top section on the 404 units. They don't have that information, but they publish it with just the bottom sections running. So if you notice, if you're ever working on a Delfield unit or anything that has a static cold rail, when you turn on the cold rail, okay, you'll start to notice that your normal system pressures are actually going to drop and your condensing temp's going to drop and it's going to throw everything off. So it's just because Delfield publishes their data with just the bottom section running that we do that. If Delfield, sat down and on their new R290 units, they actually publish the data. They have refrigerant pressures for the top, for the bottom, and for both, and all those different things. But on the 404 units, I've never been able to get that from them. So that's why we run it that way. Do I recommend working for a school district HVAC? You do commercial, you have 2 years in the field, and you're 21. Elder. School district work is good work, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Do you get bored easily? Okay. Not all of it, but most school district work is going to be boring, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's good money. Well, it's decent money in my area. School district work is decent money and great benefits. You're not going to make top dollar in my area working for a school district, okay? And you're going to be working at the same places over and over and over again. You're going to have a lot of the same problems. Now, there's nothing wrong with that kind of work. I'm just saying, if you're looking for, at 21 years old, if you're looking for excitement in this trade, honestly, school district's probably not going to be the place. That's just my opinion. And I'm not trying to knock anybody that works in a school district or anything like that. It's just, it's going to be, a little boring for you, I would say. Okay. But there's always the small chance that you go to work for someone, there's someone above you and he's an amazing teacher and you just enjoy working, then so be it. Okay. Maybe that's what you're looking for. Don't know. All right. What else? Do I love what I do? Chevy 6.0. I love what I do. I love fixing things and I love working with customers. I absolutely hate running a business. Despise running a business. But my passion is working with customers and fixing things. When I'm stressed out and I just need a break and I'm just pissed off at the world, if I can go run some service calls, I'm in my happy place because I love fixing things. Is it a bad idea to wait till your friends are done with college to start looking for an HVAC job? Like, is it still possible after you finish your HVAC degree to look for a job 2 years later? If you have the opportunity to start looking for a job now, then you should, but I mean, you need to focus on your studies, but if you can make it happen, there's a lot of people that go through HVAC school and then they struggle to get a job after the fact. So the earlier you get started, the better. So even if it's just getting a job at an HVAC shop sweeping the floors right now, that's an in, because they're majority of the time they're more likely to promote from within versus to, for a new apprentice. So if you start sweeping the floors and you show them your potential and show them your drive to do a good job sweeping the floors and cleaning up the shop, then maybe they'll give you a shot at being an apprentice or an install technician or something like that. So I would suggest trying to get in with the shop as soon as possible. All right, let me see. So I'm always on call as an HVACR tech, or do I not have to work on certain days going by the chart you showed earlier, asking since it's a little confusing? I'm on call all the time. So we are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as a refrigeration company. There's no day that we say absolutely we're not coming out. We can certainly say that as a business, but we're going to turn customers away, and that's not something you want to do. Your customers need you, and they need you there when they need you there. Okay. So if you're in refrigeration there as a business owner, okay, I am responsible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Okay. Now I have other service technicians that I can put in a position to take service calls for me, but if they can't figure it out, I have to go do it. So the burden sits on me as an owner for sure, because either I send my employee and if they can't figure it out, then I tell the customer, sorry, we can't figure it out. That's not a very good business practice. So yes, you are on call in a sense, but as an employee, no, you're not going to be on call 24/7, 365. No. Okay. You're going to have some sort of an on-call rotation, and there's going to be days that you're not going to have to work for sure. As a business owner, that's part of being an owner. Yeah. You're going to have to, if you want to be a good business owner, you're going to be open 24/7. So, all right, let me see if I missed anything on my list. I already answered that one, I already answered that one. Core tools. I wanted to point out, and I said something in my recent video too on the walk-ins, and I've been seeing a few comments about it too. I've been getting so pissed off at the core tools lately, right? I have the fanciest evacuation rig in the world with the true blue hoses and all this different fancy stuff. And I swear to you, it doesn't matter what brand core removal tools, vacuum core removal tools I buy, they all leak and they piss me off. I swear, I've been going so many frustrating times with vacuum hoses or with vacuuming right now. Systems that absolutely do not have a leak, but the core tools is the only variable in the picture. Like, just driving me nuts. And that's just something I want to say. And I've tried all the fancy brands. Every brand out there, I've pretty much tried it. And they all give me leaks one way or the other. They don't leak at first. No, they don't leak at first. But when you put a core tool on and you pressurize the system and then you close the core tool and, and then you can literally hear the nitrogen piss out of the freaking valve that you shut off. Like, that stuff drives me nuts. So, man, I need a good, solid vacuum core removal tool lately that can handle positive pressure. That's the important thing. So, all right, let's see what else we got in this chat right now. Big Nate, pineapple belongs on pizza for sure. I need some pineapple pizza right now. What can you do to get an HVAC position in the Inland Empire, possibly as a journeyman? It just depends, man. Knocking on doors. Everybody's, right now is a slow time though. So now is just hard being a journeyman. Unless you, are absolutely the most amazing journeyman out there, you should have no problem getting a job. But if you're still learning and stuff like that, that's going to be a struggle for sure. Because it's so slow right now. There's companies hiring though. You just got to start knocking on the doors and asking. Where can you get a reliable information on servicing ice machines, sequence of operation, heavy metal guitarist? So what you need to do is reach out to each individual manufacturer. Manitowoc ice machines, Hoshizaki ice machines, Scotsman, Follett, Vote, Isomatic. I don't know if I said that. They all have websites and they all have technical service data on their website. Each ice machine uses the same concept of refrigeration, but each of them has a different defrost strategy, or there's something a little different about each one's sequence of operation. So you need to reach out to those manufacturers, go to their websites. All their service information, almost for every one of them, is available on their website. You just download it and read the manuals. It's just time consuming to figure out how each one works. I don't know every ice machine like the back of my hand. I'm very comfortable with Hoshizaki, Follett, and Manitowoc. But if you stick me on an Isomatic, if it's an old one, they're pretty easy. But if it's a new one with the new circuit board, I'm kind of lost until I figure out their logic. So I just got to read the installation and service manuals. See what else we got in here. Any book recommendations that will help troubleshooting AC components? I mean, no, not really troubleshooting air conditioning components. I probably need to, I get that question a lot, and I probably need to do a little bit better. Maybe like the Racked Manual, Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Technology is one of the main books that I went, learned in school that will teach you kind of air conditioning stuff. The Appian core tools can be rebuilt. Yeah, I have lots of the Appian core tools. I kid you not, I probably have like six of them, and I have rebuild kits for all of them. It's just frustrating. They're constantly failing. Like every brand, though. It's not just them. It's just more frustrating. How big is my service repair area? I mean, for those that are familiar with Southern California, I do the Inland Empire, Orange County, and like East LA County. Mainly Inland Empire is my stronghold, though. So I would say, if I had to guess mileage-wise, maybe a 150-mile radius. But I mean, that's to like my extreme locations. So, all right. What is the worst RTU call I've ever had? I don't know, man. That's a hard one. The worst and the best, and those questions are kind of hard because I don't really have that on my mind right now. All right, guys, it is time for me to wrap this up because my family just got home and I need to eat dinner and I am hungry. I really, really appreciate you guys coming in here. I want to say Happy New Year to every single one of you. Thank you guys so much for the support. If you haven't already, check out my website, hvacrvideos.com. All the merch available on there, the hats, the beanies, the shirts, the sweaters. Any support would be much appreciated. I'm going to keep making these videos. Let's recap real quick on the 2021 thing. I started this stream out, and I'm going to end it with this. I'm super blessed and super humbled by all the support that I get from you guys. The views, the comments, the thumbs up, the emails. It's amazing. I'm humbled by it all. Thank you very much. As far as 2021 goes, my plans for the channel in 2021 is to keep going with the videos, keep going with the live streams, possibly investigate a little bit more. I've kind of teased this a while, back and forth, possibly investigate a podcast of some sort. It's just a matter of finding the time. So that's my plans. Everything still should be going. Hopefully you guys stick around. Do me a favor, share. If you guys see something that you like, share it with a friend, bring them to the channel. It definitely help me out. Okay. Thank you so very much. We're going to go ahead and transition to the outro, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Let's see if I can do this.